Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our Charli AI webinar entitled Immediate ROI in 2025, How to Outsource Equity Research to AI. We're excited to have you all here. My name is Jamie Frawley, Managing Director at Alliance Advisors IR, and I'm joined by my colleague, Adele Carey, Vice President. It is our pleasure to be your co-hosts for today's webinar. Before we dive in, I'd like to go over a couple of quick housekeeping items. First off, if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to drop them into the Q&A section. We will address those during the Q&A at the end. You can also use the chat feature for general comments, but we ask that any questions be kept to the Q&A so we don't miss them. And all right, let's get started. So it's now my pleasure to introduce you to Kevin Collins, CEO and co-founder at Charli AI. Kevin, over to you.
Thanks, Jamie. And thanks, Adele, for hosting this. I'm looking forward to it. And thanks, everyone, for joining. This webinar is really going to showcase how to get immediate value out of AI in 2025. We're coming up to the end of the year. Everybody wants to hit the ground running January 1st, and this is the webinar is all about, especially in equity research, as there's a lot of changes being anticipated in the market come the beginning of January, and administration changes in the US and how that might impact some of the stocks. I want to make it as interactive as possible, so feel free to ask a lot of questions. And I know Jamie, Adele can interrupt me as I'm going through this to make sure I haven't missed anything. I'm going to be showing live equity research. There's only a few PowerPoint elements here to go over the basics of how to get ROI out of AI in 2025. From a lot of the customers that we are talking to, and that includes investment advisors, it includes wealth managers, folks within pension funds, capital markets, and it really is about spending more time with clients. And that's really what it's come down to. From everybody at the front lines all the way up to management, it's spending more time with clients in order to not just spend time with clients, but to provide quality feedback to them, to help them build their wealth, to create more strategies. And the more time you are spending in the back office, the less time you're building the business. And that really is time is money. And that's starting to ring true. And no matter who we go and talk to, you could be an individual investment advisor. It really is about client time, face time. If we're looking into 2025 and what is going to be happening in the market, there's going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be some volatility, and that's not necessarily a bad thing if you're armed and you are prepared. A lot of customers that we talk to are letting us know that their clients are looking for more tailored investment strategies to meet their needs. And that means they're having to spend more time with portfolio management, understanding how to construct a portfolio. Whether you're looking at big wealth increases, they're in the high risk, medium risk, or even looking at income focused investment strategies, depending on where their clients are. They're really looking at now tailored portfolios. Now, what that does is put a lot of burden back on the investment advisors and any analysts that might work with in order to manage those portfolios moving forward and make sure they don't miss anything for their clients. And that even is coming up with alternative investments, looking at small caps, micro caps, looking at even the crypto market. Where's the strategy? How do you inform your clients? How do you build a portfolio and manage that? And it's becoming time consuming. And this is where AI can really deliver value for you. And when I talk about AI, I'm not talking about the chatbots. When I talk about AI, I'm really talking about AI helping you manage those portfolios on your behalf, so you are spending quality face time with your clients. If we're looking at what the AI can do, and this is just before we get into actually showcasing this live, I work with a lot of investment advisors. I have one ourselves that my wife and I have been working with for many years, and we love working with him and his team. And it really is, we know that we value that time when we having lunch meetings, dinner meetings, drinks out. You want to be able to track the market while you're dining. If you're going into pyro meetings, you want to be able to have firsthand insights. You want that insight to be timely and not dated. We know a lot of our customers who are investment advisors, they don't want to be going back to reports that are even 6 weeks old, even 4 weeks old, because the market changed today. They want timely information. And when they go in and they're meeting with a client, they want to be able to talk intelligently about what the impact is going to be. And I'll show you some very real cases, because I've got to the point where I'm tracking the market closely and I want to see how things are changing on a daily basis. The other element around this, which I'll showcase from an ROI perspective, is that you want the analyst doing work behind the scene for you. Now, the alternative is that you can go in front of terminals. There's a lot of terminals out there that you can get information. You can go in front of the different financial websites and get the information you're looking for. And we know a lot of people are scraping that information to analyze it. You can sit in front of a chat bot all day long and do Q&A. The problem with that is that you're not doing that while you're sleeping. You have to do the heavy lifting, the analysis work yourself. And you also are sitting in front of a chatbot, and that means that you are taking time away from clients. Even if you're handing that off to a team of analysts or a single analyst, depending on how big your organization, your group is, that is, time that the analyst could be spending with your customers, your clients. They're also now spending time digging up numbers. And when I say here on the slide that you want to be able to 10x your wealth business, it really is about how do you maximize the number of portfolios you can manage, the number of equities you could track within those portfolios. And the only way to do that is with what we call autopilot. Don't sit in front of a chatbot. You really need the autopilot if you want to get the value out of this. So before I jump into showing you some of this live, this will be the last sort of summary slide on this. It is about immediate returns. Even when my wife and I talk to our investment advisor, we want to know about the returns. We want to know about market shifts. And it's about those immediate returns. There's a zero learning curve to getting on a platform like Charli and using it right away, so that you're getting the ROI on not just day one, you're getting the ROI hour one, right at the beginning of the year. And when I say that, you're prepping at the end of the year to get ready for the beginning of the year. What's the trends that are going to be happening? What's going to happen in January with an administration handover and the impact of tariffs? And I'll come back to that. So there's a lot of prep happening now to get ready. You do want to have that timely insights, as I mentioned. You do want the tailored portfolios, but you're also looking to increase your assets under management. That is really one of the indicators that we know a lot of folks are tracking. And that means talking to high net worth individuals. It means talking to ultra high net worth individuals and increasing their portfolios, which increases your assets under management. And it's a win-win situation for everybody all around. Now, one last point around this, and we know a lot of folks don't want to talk about it, but they have to do it, and that's compliance. How do you deal with the compliance? And you do have to deal with that. This is the KYP. A lot of investment advisors have to go through the KYP, the Know Your Product. The regulators want to ensure that you're acting on the best interest of your clients. And when your clients come back to you, you want the assurance that you know where the information came from, how it was collected, how it was analyzed. And you even have to deal with month-end and year-end reporting just to keep up with the compliance. And this streamlines that. It's a single click and you're getting your compliance taken care of. So hopefully that gives you the basis of what we're going to cover today. And I'm going to jump right into showing you this live. And the reason for showing it to you live is that we want to showcase how our customers are using this. Now, this is my account and I do use it. So I am now glued to this almost on a daily basis because I'm fascinated. And the benefit I have around it is I don't have to do the deep analysis. I'm getting the insights and I'm doing a webinar while I have Charlie working for me behind the scenes. And that's the value. So when you're going and you're sitting for lunch with a client and they ask about a particular investment, you can go straight to your phone and you can kick it off right away and get something delivered to your inbox. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is jump from my homepage. I do look at the news to see what's happening, but I really want to jump to my portfolios. And some of these I'm tracking, and you're getting a glimpse to version 5 of our product that is coming out this month. In fact, we're testing this right now. Not everybody gets access to this. I do. But in a week or so, everybody's going to start getting access to a lot of these cool features, including the portfolio analysis that's happening. And in aerospace and defense, you can imagine, I know that there's administration change happening. So how is that going to impact investments that I'm making in aerospace and defense, and which ones do I want to track and put my bets on? And it really is coming into the buy-sell strategy of want to look at here. And one of the biggest insights that I see on here, and I look at this all the time, is what we call the pie quadrant. And it really is the power of AI that can analyze. Now, this is not something you can get from a chatbot. It is not something that a Gen AI will be able to do. This is the power of multidimensional AI that does real-time analysis on information. And it does it, in this particular case, across 14 different dimensions. And we'll show you some of these. It's looking at even at insider tradings, because we start watching on some of these insider tradings to see how the companies are being perceived internally, including L3Harris, which our AI has been plopping it down in the potential category. And what that means is that the AI is seeing some good fundamentals of the company. So on a baseline, it's looking at the fundamentals, but it's also looking at market perception and what is the market seeing. And the market is looking at earnings growth, profit retention, revenue growth, and insider activity. So of those 14 different dimensions that the AI has to analyze, it goes deep. It is looking at the financials of the company. It's looking at free cash flow analysis. It is looking at the market perception and even the analyst ratings and what the analysts are digging up around this company to give you a fairly accurate picture of what this investment is going to look like. And this is the part I love about Charlie. The other thing is that I can, if I go back to L3Harris, I can actually get the report delivered. And this is what I pop up all the time. This ends up in my inbox. And it ends up giving me the quarter-over-quarter results. It gives me the notable performance takeaways. If I go through this, I'm looking at an executive summary. Here's the key takeaways. Now, when I go and I meet with colleagues, I'm armed right away with what I need to talk about with respect to this company. And it really is zeroed in on your strategy for the portfolio. And one of them is, are you looking at dividend yields? Because your clients might be more interested in income. And is this part of a good income strategy? Which, from a yield perspective, may not be the thing that you're looking for, but from a long-term perspective, this may be an investment strategy. But you get that insight right away in a very simple report that literally shows up in your inbox. And I'm going to switch over just so you can see that. If I go here, here's all the reports that my AI has sent to me. Charlie has given them all to me. This is the L3 one. It's sitting in my inbox. I can see right away the material changes. Again, I don't even have to go into the summary report. I can see it on my dashboard. I can see it in my email, and I've got my PDF report, which I can even forward to clients and colleagues as well. And the only thing I have to do, if I go back to this, the only thing I needed to do was to add a ticker. And I can go in here and I can add Honeywell. because Honeywell's another one that's coming up in the aerospace in defense. I looked at GE, but if I want to look at Honeywell, all I have to put in is the ticker, and my analyst is going to town now. And you can see that. The AI has picked it up and it's collecting real-time information. Now, this is one of the big things that if you think of a human that has to do this, they're either sitting in front of a chatbot or they're going to different web pages and they're downloading documents, they're looking at news feeds, they're looking at analyst ratings, and they're having to analyze this. The AI is doing this automatically without blinking an eye. It's going into the SEC to get the SEC filings. If it's a Canadian company, and I'll just go up here because Bombardier is here, and I'm tracking that. How are they going to be impacted by potentially tariffs that are going to get introduced? And this is an area where I don't have to think twice as an investment advisor. I let the AI go to town, and with a Canadian company, instead of going to the SEC, it's going to go to CDAR, and it'll figure that out. So it'll go to CDAR to get the filings. It's going to go get the analyst reports. It's going to look at the geopolitical situation between Canada and the US. It will analyze all that automatically. It's the news feeds. It will go to NASDAQ. It'll go to TMX. It will get real-time ticker information. And it will also, if you have a FactSet account, it's going to go into FactSet and pull the FactSet details, including street account news, the fundamentals, the ratios. It pulls it all together. Now, an analyst or a human, if I hired a human to go do this, they're going to take 40, maybe 80 hours to put detailed reports together. This literally will take 15, 20 minutes, and I got a full-on report sent to my inbox. So that's the value, and that's ROI. There's no learning curve. I jump in, I put in my ticker, I can see where things are landing. I can know if I click on stable. These are interesting companies that actually have some value there, and I might consider them more. And that includes looking at Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin. But the other ones, if I get down into the potential category, I'm looking at L3. There's some potential here. There might be some upside because I also look at the fair market value. And this is AI that can calculate fair market value. And let you know where it's trading within its range. And there might be some potential upside here that I can tap into. So as an investment advisor, a lot of our customers are looking for those signals, when to buy, and more importantly, when to sell, because you're looking to sell at the right thing, the right time. Boeing is another interesting one. I won't spend a lot of time on it, but you can see here that Boeing, by the AI, has been analyzed and it's put in the marginal category. And the reason for that is got a lot to do with the strength of the financials are being stretched. Given the amount of investment they have to make into quality operations, the labor disputes, all of that gets raised within Boeing, and that's putting strain on Boeing. That doesn't mean that necessarily there isn't an upside here, but you just have to understand where the company is and what the struggles the company might have as they're moving forward. And right away, I get a glimpse and a picture. And I can see that Boeing is, if I just filter on it, Boeing's trading above what the AI believes its fair market value range is going to be. And you get a quick glimpse in that. So that gives me another idea. Is there some upside of I buy, or am I at the peak that I need to look at profit taking? That's one of the elements around this. So that's the value of getting started right away. And you can see while I'm talking to you, while I'm doing this webinar, this could be meeting with a customer. My AI is analyzing Honeywell, and I'll get a report. And we can come back to this a little later. But I do want to jump into a little bit more. And I'm going to look into some other analysis and insights that I've gotten that may help other advisors as they're starting to look at it. The chip sector has been interesting by quite a bit, especially given the whole movement to get rehome, if you will. It's really the CHIP Act is trying to get a lot more of that manufacturing back into the US. So there's going to be an impact here. The other thing that happened recently, and you can see that I just reran Intel yesterday, is literally I ran it because China has now got export bans, and they're getting stricter. With the administration change that's happening in January, we already know that there's threats of tariffs that are coming in, and we also have reactionary things happening with countries like China that are putting export bans. So what does that mean for an Intel? And the other thing around Intel that we ran this one on is their CEO retired. So there's some changes that happened there. And I can tell you from what the analysis was, because the AI keeps track of every time it runs an analysis, and you can see the changes. You've got complete reporting over this. And we know that with the CEO elements, that is going to be a 20% dip in sentiment, but the fundamentals of the company remain the same. Now, if we look at it from the CHIP Act, and if we look at it from what's happening with China, there's going to be a shift, and that's a shift on the fundamentals of the company, and it is reflected on this chart compared to what it was last week because of that. And I'll go into it in a little bit more detail. But again, I can hover over this. I can get my financial breakdown, both on the analytical side, and I can look at it from a market sentiment side, just to see what the performance is going to look like. Now, more interestingly, I'm going to jump into Intel, because this is what you see on the inside of these projects, as the AI is essentially asking the questions you need and answering them for you. Again, you don't have to sit in front of a chatbot. This is ROI right out of the gate. To give you a sense of a chatbot, so if you want to sit in front of a chatbot and ask questions all day long, you do get that. But by all indication, that is giving you anywhere from, what a lot of people have said, is anywhere from a 4 to a 7 minute productivity gain every day. This is giving you 5 hours of productivity gains right out of the gate. And that's the difference between a productivity gain and something that changes your business. Fundamentally allows you to increase the number of clients, their portfolios, and the equities you're tracking. Now, the other element around this is that AI can be asked some very sophisticated questions. And in this particular case, I needed to understand how the US tariffs and the Chinese raw material bans are going to impact Intel. And not just impact Intel, I want to know on my portfolio for the chip sector, how is this going to impact each and every company? And you can see here that the AI goes deep. And the AI will actually go in and give you estimates on Intel's potential revenue decline and what that will mean on their bottom line, which will also mean where their stock is going to be forecasted to be. And you can see here that there is an anticipated decline in revenue. There's a bigger decline in their gross margin, and they're looking at impacts on their debt to equity ratios. It is all highlighted here simply by asking a what if scenario. And you will get this in the report as well. So that's the power of the AI. You can ask in any question you want. The AI gives you suggestions around this. Now, the other benefit, if I rerun Intel, guess what the AI does for me? The AI will actually rerun the questions I asked before, and it'll give me the updated answers. So it's telling me right away, and I don't have to think about this. Again, I just have to go in and rerun Intel, and I will do this on the webinar. So the other one I want to switch back to is even looking at companies that are in the volatile category. And D-Wave is something that investors in our company have also invested in companies like D-Wave. And we know that D-Wave, from a quantum computing perspective, has been struggling, but making some progress. So there is a bullish sentiment on it, even though their fundamentals are fairly weak. But that is a shift in market sentiment given the power of quantum computing, given the push in the AI space as well. So there's a lot more focus in this. Now, the other element is fair market value calculations. You can easily see who's trading above fair market value, how much they're trading above, who's trading below. And you can actually see that Intel is trading below. So that is a bit of an indication of maybe some potential. I'm showing you the different charts and analysis that could be done. Because as an investment advisor, you want these insights, but you want them quick. You don't want to be going hunting for them. We've even got to the point of the AI providing buy-sell recommendations. In fact, if I go back to my aerospace and defense and go into L3 and show you the detail of L3, I did want a recommendation on what we should do here. Now, the difference between this and, say, an Intel is there's obviously a sell recommendation on this. I can ask it based on market sentiment. I can also ask the same question based on fundamentals. And the AI is going to go and analyze it using different set of metrics to give you a picture of whether you should buy or sell. And that is the power of AI that becomes unbiased. You're getting immediate results. Now, this buy or sell recommendation is not just an analyst consensus rating. It is really the ability of the AI to do the deep analysis and give you a recommendation on that analysis. Now, that was on the L3. The other interesting one, I'm going back and switching back and forth because I went into Intel. And the difference within Intel is if I scroll down here, it was a similar question, but the answers are quite a bit different here. Buy or hold with the complete breakdown. It's given you not just the buy or sell, but it's given you the reasoning on why it recommended one versus the other. So you can ask these questions, you can get clear indication, and these are something that you can actually distribute and take to clients as well. Now, the other one I'm going to switch to, and I'll go into a little bit more of running the stocks to show you the benefit of the ROI, but I'm quickly going to jump into another one here to show you some insights because we are tracking Oracle. And for our company, Oracle is a great potential partnering opportunity, along even with Salesforce. We're looking at investment opportunities, we're looking at partnership opportunities, and we use this to really guide our strategies and our talking points when we go into these customers. Oracle is sitting here right now. Now, their earnings is coming out next week. And we know there's some bullishness around that because I've already rerun Oracle. I didn't do it just before the seminar, but I want to rerun it because I want to see what the latest report is going to be looking like. Now, if I go into Oracle, part of the Q&A here, if I was a private equity company, how would I consider Oracle? If I go down even into some of the other questions that I asked, I'm looking at fair market value. I'm looking at buy and sell options, and I want the AI to give me a recommendation on where I should be considering Oracle. And this is the first-hand insight from a Q&A perspective of, I know market sentiment is low, fundamentals are strong, but what's going to shift the game for Oracle? Because I might want to tap into that. And you can see here a breakdown on the barometer of sentiment versus analytical. So that's fairly powerful metrics that you're getting out of the gate right away, and you will get this in a report as well. Now, I'm going to switch gears, and I want to do a couple of other things. For the most part, I want to go back to my portfolio here, and I want to be lazy because I want all of this reanalyzed. So I mentioned I ran Oracle back at the end of November. I want to see just before their earnings call what the full analysis is. I can simply go here and rerun. And that's all I have to do. And the AI is now going to schedule. You can see here, it's scheduled to rerun. It tells me when it's going to rerun it. I can have these kicked off in the middle of the night if I want to. If I go to bed and I want to wake up in the morning and have the updated reports, I can do that as well. But I'm having the AI rerun the analysis on every single one of these projects, and you'll start to see them kicking off. But while we're waiting for those to kick off, I'm going to switch into small caps, because this is where we know a lot of potential investment advisors are really starting to look. Small caps, micro caps, they're looking at alternative investment strategies, even looking at crypto. And this is what the product that's been designed for. So if you think of your primary analysts that know certain companies, this is going to give you a benchmark that you can compare. That's great. Even if you look at things like the Magnificent Seven. I'm not going to go in there. The Magnificent Seven is boring. Everybody knows the Magnificent Seven. There's just, everybody tracks it, understands it. There's a lot of information around it. But when you're going into the small caps, completely different story. When you go into the micro caps, it's a completely different story. But you're getting the same quality, and you're getting it on stocks you're not necessarily tracking, or don't have the time or capacity to actually track these. And here I'm looking at different small caps, and I can see where Novavax is. I can see, I haven't run MicroStrategy yet, but the MicroStrategy is another one I actually want to get in here. Now, if I'm somebody who's interested in the small cap stocks, and I'm busy commuting to meet with a client. Now, I do this every morning because I have to commute into the office, like a lot of folks, and I will take the train. Now, before I get on the train, or even as I get on the train, I actually pull up my phone, and I have my phone in my hand. And I'll go in there, and I'll actually look at the stocks I want to track, and I'll put them in. And I don't, again, have to think about it. So I simply put in the stocks that I want to track, and I'll let the AI go to town on that. There's a couple that I do want to add, and I can simply put them in, and the AI will go to town and start to track those. And you can see here, I literally did this on my phone, and the AI behind the scenes is picking it up. I didn't have to do anything here. The AI is on 24/7. And that's a big difference with a chatbot and an AI that's going to be full on autopilot. This is available to you 24/7. No matter what time of the day, you can actually go in and pull the tickers and run as many as you want in order to get those reports and those analysis delivered. And I just kicked off another one here, and I did that on my phone. And that's the power of commuting. Now, if I was having a lunch with a client, I could be doing the same thing. If I'm on the golf course, I could be doing the exact same thing. And I know by the time I get to the next hole, I'm going to have a report, and we can talk about it. And it's up to date. It's by the minute. It's not something that's dated. Yes, anybody can go get a report that's 6 weeks old. You'll pay money for it, but you're still going to get something at 6 weeks old. Here, it can really work out to $6 a report. It can work out to $3 a report, because you can run these as many times as you want during the month, before the earnings call and then after the earnings call. So that's the power of looking at just the full-on automation. If I don't want to watch the small caps or even the Russell 2000, I can put it into recurring. I can say, run this monthly, and it will go to town, and this gets all pre-scheduled. If I have my own set of questions, I can put my own set of questions in there. Don't rely on just the AI to ask and answer questions. You can do that as well. The other benefit of this AI, and this again is instant ROI, is you're prepping for January 1st, 2025, is that you can add your own portfolios. This might be based on, your client who's ultra high net worth. So you can put in the client name and you can decide whether that client is looking at different types of market sector performance or they're really looking at income strategies. And it really depends on where they are within their life and what they're looking for their family. But you can actually guide what the AI is going to do, what it's going to analyze. And this is far more than just financial information married to a chatbot. That's the biggest value that I wanted to showcase here. I am going to open it up to some Q&A, but I hope everybody gets a sense of, for me, I can go between my tech stocks. I can look at the industrial stocks. I am going to start looking at resource equities. And literally, you're getting a firsthand glimpse into stocks that I'm tracking because I want to know if there's going to be exports on resources. And doesn't matter whether it's the semiconductor industry or you're looking at battery production, resources have an impact. I love the agriculture and sustainable agriculture, so I'm starting to look at what is going to be impacting on those, and I'll put a portfolio together for that as well. So this is the power of the AI that you can get right out of the gate pretty quick. So I know there's going to be some questions. I think Jamie's nodding at me or give me a signal there's some there. I'll stop there for Q&A.
That's great. No, there are a lot of questions rolling in, actually, as you can imagine. So, and they've been coming in since the beginning of the presentation. So great work. I mean, it really is incredible to see this all come together and all the information that's able to churn out in such a quick time period. So fascinating stuff. Great presentation. Adele, do you see any questions coming in? Should we get into it?
Oh, yes, definitely. And also too, Kevin, just to note, I was an analyst early on in my career, and I actually wish I had Charli AI back then.
Especially on the golf course.
Exactly. Right.
I understand. I used to do a lot of analysis myself, and it's, where was this? I needed this.
Right.
Yeah.
No, this is great. So I think our first question is coming in. Can Charli AI help assess the impact of Trump being president in the US?
Yes, it can. I didn't ask a Trump-specific question just to avoid some of that might happen. But I did ask things that are very specific. And I'll go into the Intel one because it is a tit for tat that's going to happen within the market. So when you look at Trump coming in, Trump is going to be putting pressure around the world. And that's going to positively impact some companies and potentially negatively impact some companies, and you're trying to navigate that. This question here is related to policy. So going to happen. You could be very generic and see, is Trump going to impact that stock? So that's a very generic question. You can ask it. I haven't in this particular case, but certainly feel free to ask those questions and see what the answer comes out, because it will give you some pretty interesting insights, especially if you're asking that question on a sentiment basis. And that's one of the tricks here. So if you're looking at it from a Trump perspective, you're looking for that emotional impact on that stock. And this is where the sentiment trigger comes in. On the analytical side of it, you're really looking at the fundamentals of the company and how strong the fundamentals are. And even the AI will analyze that based on those dimensions that I talked about, because it's really looking at the company capitalizing on enough in order to invest back into its operations. That's the analytical side. On the sentiment side, what's the Trump impact here as well? On this particular case, I did ask about the tariffs and you can see that the proposed 100% tariff is really coming from the market, understanding where Trump is putting some pressure on these companies. And the reaction is around the raw material exports and how that is going to negatively impact. And in some of these cases, China is the main exporter of material that is used in semiconductor production. Now, the other element around this, and I have done this in some portfolios, it's part of the reason I'm going to the resource equities, is that I want to start looking at companies that are now in the production of those exports that could affect the import affect the semiconductor industry, because it may positively impact countries in Europe. Belgium is one of those exporters that may benefit. And this is a part of the what if scenarios. You can certainly ask those questions and the AI will give you firsthand insights. Oh, sorry, you're on mute, Jamie.
Thank you for that. There's a follow-up question. Will the automated analyst be able to determine the impact of tariffs on a particular equity?
Yes, yes, and you're seeing that firsthand here. So that very related to this. And you can see it's not just a fluffy type answer. You don't want that. Investment advisors really want that insight, so that when they're talking to a client, Intel is a good example here. What is the impact? And depending on how the negotiations happen, because this is negotiations that are always going to go on the geopolitical side of the fence, and you're seeing a potential impact on how much they'll lose, what the percentage is going to be on different fundamentals within the company. So the AI will analyze it. Now, the difference between a Charlie on this and just a chatbot is these chatbots are really going to give you pre-trained knowledge or anything that's fed in quickly. Charlie does an analysis behind the scenes. It really is looking at very specifics associated with Intel and the question you asked. And this is why the answers become very, very precise.
Okay, next
All right.
question. Go ahead, Adele.
Can I bring in my own data feeds or private data into Charli AI?
Oh, that's, yeah, definitely a good question. And we do have customers that are doing that. We have a lot of customers asking for more of that. And the quick answer to that one is yes, you can add your own source content. And if I go here, there's a couple of ways to do this, and it really depends on your organization. For individuals, you could easily add your own content here. If it's sitting on your desktop, if it's sitting on your SharePoint, if it's sitting somewhere, you could drag and drop it. You can go browse for your files, and the AI will analyze this like everything else. And it can be structured data, and it can be unstructured data. So if you have a CSV file, you have a spreadsheet, you have a PDF document, Word document, throw it in there, the AI will analyze that. That's one way to do that. For larger corporations that want to do it, it's easy as integrating. And we can go to my integration settings here, and you can see that I've got integrations to a number of different things. I've got integration to Databricks, Snowflake, FactSet, SEC. I've got integration to my cloud storage, including my corporate SharePoint. So the AI has the ability for corporations to go and take that information they might have. So if you're a pension fund, your capital markets, you might have a repository of information, especially historical, or your primary analysis. So on the sell side of the business, you've got primary analysts. They're still highly valuable doing deep research, but sometimes that information needs to be fed into something that's very tailored more to the buy side. And this is where this level of integration certainly does help.
Great. Okay, next question. Can I automatically schedule reporting to be run based on earnings releases delivered to my inbox?
Yes. There's a lot of ways to do that. I think I showed one. I'm going to jump around here. I'll just show different portfolios that I have here. So if I go into this one on the tech stock side, I can go to my portfolio settings. I can do recurring, and I can set that for a particular time. Now, what's coming as well is the ability for the AI to trigger. And that is coming. And what that is going to happen is notifications. You'll get a notification of a pending earnings call, and the AI can auto trigger an analysis on that. So if something changes in the market related to one of your portfolio companies, the AI can trigger a research. With a calendar of events, which the AI does have access to right now, we're just tying it into the notification system. So it's looking at the calendar events. And that's why I know that Cisco, I think it was Cisco, is got their earnings call coming up. I'm losing track. Apologies for that, but I know there's an earnings call coming up on the 9th. And the reason for that is that the AI does have access to the calendar of events, and it will notify you. So it can run a pre-analysis, and then once the earning calls comes out, it will do a post-analysis on that as well.
All right, awesome. Thank you for that, Kevin. I'm actually going to jump ahead a little bit just in terms of timing. I know, there's been several questions around pricing. So what if I just signed up for a free trial and noticed there are discounts on your pricing page based on different packages? And when do they end? And then, is your discounted price on your pricing page based on a contract term?
So depending on the package you're signing up for, you can sign up for the professional package. There's no contract term, so you can go month to month on that. With some of the other packages, especially if they include access to sources like FactSet, there is contractual obligations with FactSet, so those are where the 1-year contract may kick in if you're accessing those type of services. But with us, we really want to make sure people get value day hour one, and there's no contract term, especially around the professional package. Now, the professional package is starting at $99, and you're literally getting this value. And this is the benefit. You're getting this right out of the box. The discount pricing that you're seeing is between now and the end of the year. It will be going up because this is a massive amount of value, and this is a starting point. So you're getting a glimpse at version 5. The middle of the month, version 5 is going to get released for a lot more folks, and you'll start to see more analysis, more charts, more graphs, more custom reporting capabilities. And that's really at a heavy discount right now that we do anticipate January 1 that those prices will start to reflect the power of the platform more. So if you go to our pricing page, you will see the discount levels. Those discounts are essentially what you're getting is all of 2025 at 2024 pricing. The other value of that is that we won't start billing till January. So you're going to get the rest of this year free to run your reports, get ready for the beginning of the year. So you can go to town, get ready for January 1st.
Kevin, can this product be used on multiple devices simultaneously on the same license? Is there a mobile app?
Mobile app is coming. So we don't have a mobile app, but I did a bit of a showcase when I went to my small caps. You can see here that the AI is churning through the last of ACMR and AI. I literally, it's going to be hard to see, but I literally did that on my mobile app. It's hard to get it on the phone. It's going to be whitewashed, but I do use Charli on the mobile device all the time. Now, it's a responsive web page that you can go. I'll use this when I am on the train. And then when I get to my office, I'm back on the web page. So you don't have to have particular apps. There is a mobile app coming in 2025.
Great. Let's see, next question. When I complete a rerun, does it only show the changes since the last earnings call and or changes redlined for quick reference?
So it will give you the highlight of the changes from the last earnings call. So it will give you the material changes from one to the other. The red line functionality is something that we are considering. So that's a value so that you can see a side-by-side change. Now, the interesting thing, if I go down into some of these down here, like Lockheed Martin, the AI has kept track of every version. So it will keep track of its results before the earnings call. It will keep track of its results after the earnings call. You can see here, I ran it on October 1st, 21st, 14th, 29th. It keeps track of those. So we have the ability to give you a side-by-side comparison of one call versus the other, so you can see it. But what it does do is it will summarize the changes from the prior case to the current case. So you know right away what the material changes are.
Okay.
You don't have to go hunt for it. In fact, because I know Honeywell completed, if I skip ahead and go to my report, because I know I have Honeywell sitting right there. There's a lot of material changes. I didn't have to go in the report.
Got it.
Interesting.
Here's a question from an anonymous attendee. What is the difference between analytical and sentiment analysis?
Good question, because let me go back to Honeywell. And Honeywell's got some good elements here. And the difference between analytical is it is going into what we would refer to as trusted information around the fundamentals of the company, or trusted information that's coming with analysts that are working directly with the company. So that's firsthand information or reported information. This would be information that Honeywell would do with its SEC filings. It's information that it would report on its website. It's information that the analysts are gathering, including their consensus, their ratings. And if you're going into FactSet, it'd be things like street account news that is more vetted. That's what the analytical is basing its decision-making on, including down here looking at positive, negative, neutral factors. If you switch over to sentiment, and you have to compare both, sentiment is more focused on the emotional market perception, which could be fluctuate a little bit more, be a little more volatile, but you still have to gauge the market sentiment versus what the fundamentals of the company are. And buy-sell motions are sometimes good signals around the discrepancy from one to the other. So if you go to the Magnificent Seven, yeah, they're always matching because there's a lot of information on both sides of the fence. But the reality is when you get beyond that, you're looking at, sorry, let me just mouse over this again. You're looking at what the news is saying. And Charlie doesn't go and do a broad sweep of the internet. That's the other thing to understand. We want to go to trusted news sources for the financial community. Charlie's very tuned to finance, so it's going to trusted news sources. It's going to trusted websites that have information, and it's going to trusted analyst information that might not be reported on the analytical side, like FactSet. And it is doing a comparative analysis on what it finds there. That's the main difference between sentiment and analytical, is what type of information is guiding the analysis and the decision. And you need to benchmark both. You can't merge them. That's the other thing that you cannot do. If you try to aggregate them all, you're going to get an overly biased results. We actually spend a lot of time making sure that we understand the difference from one to the other. And a lot of these get into, trust factors and weightings. We need accurate, trusted results coming out. We've spent a lot of time making sure that the right sources are found, the weightings are applied to those sources in order to guide your view of market perception, which is sentiment, versus the analytical, which is based on financials of the company.
All right, great. No, thank you, Kevin, for that. I think our next question is going to be surrounding downloading the charts and graphs to include a PowerPoint or Excel. I think in terms of like if we're presenting to a client from an analyst perspective or have supporting data, is that basically downloadable right now?
And that is coming with, depending on the package, because we know the professional package is going to give you access to PDFs and Word documents. But I can go to send report here. And you have options depending on the package that you sign up for, including, do you just want the summary report? Do you want the comprehensive report? And I'll show that. Do you want it in Word format? Do you want it in a spreadsheet, a PowerPoint? Custom is for the enterprise customers, definitely. And for enterprise customers, it's also, can you push this up to Power BI? I'm using Power BI internally. Can you push it up to Microsoft? Can you push it up to Databricks? Can you push it up to Snowflake? And those options are 100% supported so that you can get the dashboard metrics as charts, graphs, downloadable, editable. We are looking at also a white label version, because if you want to get the out-of-the-box Charlie reports, I'll pull one open, you can get them branded as well. So if I pull open this, I've got access to the Honeywell summary report. This is a detailed report. just pull that open so people can see it. A lot of this is table stakes. This is what people want tucked in the drawer anytime somebody comes back and says, hey, did you do your due diligence on this? Nobody really goes through all the details, but this one gives you more of a 8-10 page report all the way through. There's a lot of details, including rate of change, all the way down to side-by-side annual filings. It depends on where the company is. You can go quarter by quarter if you want, all the way down to earnings estimates and ratios and everything else you want to see. So these are also available to be pushed to the cloud, download as a spreadsheet, Word document. So that is available.
Great.
No, that's great. And then also on a personal level, I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I hope you don't mind me asking this, but, and I'm sure you probably already covered this earlier. At first I was, telling him about Charlie. He's like, oh, I don't need historical. I can find that. I'm like, no. I'm like, this is real time. So can you talk to like the, I guess the accuracy level? I think it's, I don't want to quote it, but and maybe you've said this before, but, I think that's a key kind of takeaway too.
Definitely, I can. I'm going to go back to chip manufacturers just for the sake of, I ran this recently. Well, I ran Honeywell, so I could go back to that. But part of this is to get to the real time. We know a lot of our customers will run it right away because they want up-to-date information. So in this particular case, it's recent news around, it's not recent news around the tariffs, but it's certainly recent news around what China is doing and some of this, and you can see that it gets picked up right away. So this is the difference between, if you think of, if I put my technical hat on, Gen AI is pre-trained, and that could be a year old, year and a half old, and then they just force feed other information they might get. And it's easy to miss this. That's not how Charlie works. Charlie actually goes and gets that real-time information up to the minute. It fully analyzes it, and it generates a full analysis and results on that real-time information. Now, part of that is to also come up with accuracy. And one of the things we never want our AI doing is spewing pre-canned, pre-generated knowledge. That's what happens in the world of large language models, Gen AI, is that a lot of times they're spewing pre-trained knowledge. All we rely on for our large language models in Gen AI is to be able to write well. But the information better be coming from us. And it better be what we tell it to write about, including the numbers. And that ensures the accuracy that's coming out. Now, the other thing that I want to do, and let me just pick on Intel again, but I'm going to scroll down. Apologies for this. I want to scroll down to, oh, this was an interesting one. I'm a retail investor. What should I do with Intel? So you can ask that. Am I a retail investor? What should I do? But what I want to do is scroll down to, I've asked a lot of questions on Intel. Private equity, just going to go down to the basics. I'll pop this open just to see. Yeah, this is a good one, actually. On any question, especially around, I went deep into the Intel Foundry business and how it was performing. And we know that they've got some struggles, and it's been a mixed bag. But you can see here what the AI has gone for. It's looked at their 10Ks. It's looked at their 10Qs. It's looked at FactSet Street Account News. And if I go into any one of these, which I haven't done on this particular one, the AI is telling you exactly what it's pulling out of these documents. And you can see right away, out of this 54th page document, it went to page 36 and said, I know this is directly related to the Foundry, and I'm pulling it. And that assures the accuracy. AI is so precise. It knows where to go on any document, no matter how big it is. I don't know what it pulled out of the 10K, but 10Ks could be 150 pages. If you go into an S1 filing, you're going to be looking at, so it really just pulled out the Foundry, right out of their Foundry section. It knows exactly where to go to pull the information. This is the accuracy you just can't get on any Gen AI that's out there. It's never going to happen. This is the power of that multidimensional AI to deliver the accuracy and quality results. Because I'm looking at this right now and go, yep, I believe this now.
Well, Kevin, this has been amazing. I know we're at time right now, and there are a few more questions that are trickling in. We're more than happy to get back to everybody after the webinar. We can email you privately, or you can email us anytime today or throughout the week. There will be a recording of this webinar that we'll share, and you can refer back to it anytime. Kevin, do you have any closing remarks before we sign off?
Well, while we were talking there, I've got some reports I got to go, especially on the small caps. So this has been a productive event for me because I had my analysts go to town. I needed to know more about Palantir, obviously. I'm rerunning all that. I've got some small caps I got to evaluate. So I definitely appreciate everyone prompting me to get this one done.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to know too, I put in the chat the link to register. So for sign up for your free trial, play around with Charli, get to know it better. And then yeah, and if there's any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us and the team.
No, thanks everyone. I certainly appreciate you joining, and we will definitely follow up on the answers.
Sounds perfect. Well, have a wonderful day, everybody. We look forward to helping you achieve your goals with Charli AI, and please keep in touch.
Take care.
Bye for now.